everybody, welcome to my update today. Thanks for joining me. I've got my summer shades on because I don't know about you, it's beginning to feel a lot like summertime. And summertime always reminds me of the books that I want to read, because when we don't have kids around us and we don't have other things to do, what do we like to do? We like to just have a nice cold glass of iced tea or lemonade and read a nice book under the shade. And so I've brought my top 5 books that I've read this last year to share with you. I hope you enjoy them. Just a forewarning here, none of them are romance novels, okay? So if you're looking for a good romance novel, sorry, I'm not the guy to help you out with that. Before I get to my books, let me share with you a need that we have here at St. Mark's. It's been a year and a half of a pandemic, and we all have lost touch with some of the things that we used to do here at St. Mark's. For example, do you remember when we would come in on Sunday mornings and coffee was brewing and donuts were out? Do you remember when we used to actually have ushers that they would hand the offering baskets in worship? Or do you remember all those things? Well, those things are starting up again, and we're looking for volunteers. In fact, we're just kind of looking for volunteers throughout all of our ministries, because there's a lot of things that we haven't been doing over the past year and a half. So if you're interested in volunteering, I would just encourage you to check out the opportunities that we have at St. Mark's. We have a whole list of them, from digital engagement, engaging people online, to donuts on Sunday morning, to family ministry, to small groups. The list goes on and on. So that's my all points bulletin, APB. We could use some volunteers because things are starting to ramp up again. All right. Well, let's get to the books today. Thanks for watching. I've got 5 books here, and surprisingly, only 2 of them are semi-religious. So you might find some of these interesting for not only your life, but also your business. So, number 5, a book called Brave New Work. If you are a business, this, in my opinion, is a must-read. Now, it came out in 2019. I think in the future, it might be one of those books that people reference on a regular basis. But it really talks about how business is changing right now, and really the dynamics of human resources and employment, and how you treat employees, and how you enable them and empower them to work in a professional and excellent way. So this is really just an interesting book. I think especially if you have millennials in your workplace, this is a very helpful book. I read through this. I found it to be very helpful, not only for the way we see things here at St. Mark's, but then also in business in general. So Brave New Work, Aaron Dingham. Check it out. Came out in 2019. Good read. Number 4. Daring Greatly. I feel like everybody's probably heard of Daring Greatly. Now you might say, well, where's the book? Well, I audibled this one, and I audible a lot of books, and this is one that I did. And I have to admit to you, Brene Brown in Audible, she reads her own book. And I'll tell you, the first 30 minutes I thought, what kind of junk am I listening to? Sorry. Because I thought this is a lot of fluffy stuff. But as I listened longer, and she shared her story, and she shared what she's really talking about, and about how, specifically about the difference between shame and guilt, I found it to be really fascinating. This is a great listen or read. Brene Brown, you can find her doing TED Talks. This book came out in 2015. It already has over 2 million copies sold. Great book called Daring Greatly by Brene Brown. I would be amiss, number 3, if I didn't mention joining Jesus on his mission. You have heard about this already because Greg Finke was here as a guest speaker. Now, I had read this earlier, so I reread it again, and I just found it to be a shot in the arm of what it means to live out your faith in your everyday life. This is an easy read. It is very contextual, so that means that it's applying to your life. This is a simple read. You will read it very quickly, but I would encourage everybody to take a look at this book. You can get it from Sarah Bartlett, our director of Faith Life Groups. I think even Marlis has some, possibly our director of outreach. Joining Jesus on his mission, how to be an everyday missionary. Quick, easy read, but helpful for life. That's number 3. Number 2, it's called The Fiery Trial. Now, as you can tell here, there's Abraham Lincoln. He's probably one of the most significant characters in American history, and with all of the racial tension that we experienced over the past year, I really wanted to read something about the guy who made the huge difference in our country by getting rid of slavery. And this author, Eric Foner, he is very fascinating. This book came out in 2011. It's a Pulitzer Prize winner for history. And it's really interesting to see the evolution of Abraham Lincoln's thought process on the dignity of humans, whether you're black or you're white. It's a thick read, so I'm not going to tell you, this is not something that you're going to just listen to or read and go, oh yes, that was easy. It's definitely a long one, but it is thoroughly enjoyable, gets into the mind and the evolution of Abraham Lincoln and his thoughts on slavery. Great book. Finally, number 1, this book called Shame and Grace. I had to read this for a class that I took, and I have to tell you, there are some books that you miss along the way in your education. This is one of them. It's from 1993, but this is a book that I should have read. Well, when I was Joel's age, Joel's behind the camera here. When I was Joel's age, I should have read this. Fascinating what Lewis Schmedes writes about the difference between shame and guilt, certainly, but then also how grace, the grace of Jesus Christ, is the answer to all of our shame, all the feelings of worthlessness. The answer is found in Jesus. I found this to be an amazingly good book. You can find it on Amazon. I know it's an older book, but it's one of those books that I think to myself, man, I wish I would have read this 20 years ago. So these are my top 5 reads. These are books that I've read the last year. I encourage you to take a look at them, and I'd sure love to hear from you. What books are you reading? Do you have any books that you're planning on reading this summer? What books have you read this last year? You can email me at phennings@faith-life.org, or you can always share what you've been reading on our Facebook feed. God bless you guys. Thanks for watching. I hope you're enjoying your summer so far. God's blessings as you connect faith and life.